Stay quiet. They're close.
It hurts, but I can keep going.
All right. Lean on me. We move now.
The CEO's office is empty. Too quiet for a room that once breathed with power and meetings and commands. The city glows behind the glass walls. Thousands of lights blinking like distant stars. But inside the office, the air is heavy, thick with words that have waited too long to be spoken. Elias stands near the long table, his suit still perfect, his shoulders no longer carrying the same pride. The man who once walked into rooms like a king, now stands like a child about to confess a crime. His voice, when it comes, is soft, almost afraid. Amara, thank you for coming. She does not answer. She stands by the window, her back to him, her reflection faint on the glass, her face hard, guarded, tired of hoping. Elias swallows. I have been looking for the right words. I don't think they exist. He takes a step closer, then stops, respecting the distance her silence demands. I am sorry I disappeared. I told you I would never forget you, and then I buried myself in work. Meetings, numbers, noise. I told myself I would come. Every day I told myself tomorrow. Amara lets out a small, bitter laugh without turning. Tomorrow, she repeats softly. Tomorrow is a beautiful lie for people who are not the ones bleeding today. Elias closes his eyes. I failed you. He opens them again, his voice trembling now. And I am sorry. About your mother. The words fall like stones. The room seems to shrink. Amara finally turns. Her eyes are cold, not loud with anger, but quiet with a pain that has learned to survive alone. Don't, she says. Don't say it like that. Like it was rain that fell from the sky, and not something that could have been stopped. Elias steps forward, emotion breaking through his control. If I had come when I should have, you wouldn't have been alone. You wouldn't have carried everything by yourself. I know that. His voice cracks. I am sorry. Amara shakes her head slowly. Pain does not wait for billionaires, she says, her voice steady but heavy. Grief does not check your calendar. My mother died while you were busy becoming bigger. I was standing by her bed, calling your name in my heart, and you were signing papers. Elias reaches out, then pulls his hand back, afraid to touch a wound he knows he caused. I would trade everything in this office to go back. Amara's eyes glisten, but her voice does not soften. You can't buy time, Elias. You can only choose when to show up. Silence stretches between them, long and aching. The city lights flicker behind her like a distant world that does not care about broken promises. Elias lowers his head. I am here now. Amara looks at him, really looks at him, and her lips curve into a sad, tired smile. Sometimes, she says quietly, an apology comes. After the damage is done, the tiny room breathes with her. One narrow window, one thin mattress on the floor, one plastic chair leaning against a wall that has seen too many tenants come and go with their dreams packed in nylon bags. The ceiling fan groans like an old man with tired bones, pushing warm air in slow circles. Amara drops her bag, sits on the edge of the mattress, and closes her eyes for just a second. The kind of second that carries the weight of a whole day. She rubs her palms together, whispering to herself. Today was long. Today was too long. Her phone buzzes with a message from work. She glances at it. Sighs. Tomorrow again, she murmurs. No rest for the poor. She stands, pours water into a small bowl, splashes her face. The water drips down her chin, and for a moment her breath catches. The room fades. Memory rises. She sees her mother's hand, cold in hers, the way the warmth had already left it like a soul quietly slipping out of a hut at dawn. Mama, please, Amara whispers to the empty room. Don't sleep yet. Talk to me. Just talk to me. The silence answers her. She sits back down, hugging her knees. I told you help was coming, she says, voice shaking. I told you to hold on. Why didn't you hold on? Her own words hurt her. She presses her forehead against the wall, breathing. You were tired, I know. I know you were tired. Her eyes drift to the window. Rain taps lightly on the zinc roof outside. The same sound that once followed her through the forest. Another memory rises, unwanted. The road, the waiting, the way her heart used to jump at every sound of an engine. Maybe today. She remembers telling herself back then. Maybe today he will come. She laughs bitterly now. Today never came. She stands and paces the small room. Elias, you said you would never forget me, she says softly, as if he could hear her through the walls of the city. Did the city swallow my name? Or did you drop it along the way? Her voice hardens. No, don't do this again. Don't turn your heart into a begging bowl. She sits, straightens her back, speaks to her reflection in the cracked mirror. You are not a child anymore, Amara. You work. You survive. You breathe without leaning on anyone. Her reflection stares back, tired but unbroken. I will not beg anyone again, she says slowly, firmly. Not for love. Not for help. Not for promises. She lies down on the thin mattress, pulls the small cloth over her shoulders. The room is quiet, but her heart is loud. Tomorrow, she whispers to herself, I will wake up. I will go to work. I will stand on my own feet. The ceiling fan creaks. The rain keeps falling. And in that tiny room, a young woman gathers the pieces of herself, teaching her heart how to be strong without leaning on memories. The empty CEO office feels too big for the two of them. Glass walls, silent screens, a city glowing far below like a world that never waits for broken hearts to catch up. Elias stands before Amara, his shoulders no longer carrying the pride of a king, but the weight of a man who knows he failed. His voice comes low, careful, like one wrong word could shatter her again. Amara, please, he says, taking one slow step closer. Let me speak. Just let me speak. She does not look at him. Her eyes rest on the window, on the lights of the city that once stole him away from her life. You have been speaking since you came back into my world, she replies quietly. Your voice did not come when my mother was dying. Elias swallows. I was lost in the chaos of everything. The company, the investigations, the wounds I was still carrying inside me. I should have come. I should have searched for you. I failed you. She finally turns, her eyes sharp, steady. Do you know what failure sounds like, Elias? It sounds like silence. It sounds like waiting every day for a man who promised not to forget you. He steps closer again, his hands trembling. I am sorry. I am deeply sorry. If apologies could bring her back, I would say it on my knees 1,000 times. She lets out a small, bitter laugh. Sorry is cheap in a city full of money. Elias nods, pain flashing across his face. Then let me help you. Let me do something real. I can get you a better apartment. Somewhere safe. Somewhere clean. I can take care of your rent. I can make sure you never worry about food again. She stiffens. Is that how you measure care now? In rooms and receipts? He rushes on, desperate. I can protect you. This city is not kind. People take advantage of girls like you. Let me put security around you. Let me make your life easier. Her voice rises, controlled but burning. Easier. My life became hard when you left it. He lowers his head. I know. And I will spend the rest of my life trying to make it right. She steps back, creating space between them. Do not offer me money when what I needed was your presence. Do not offer me protection when I stood alone and learned how to protect myself. Elias drops his voice to a whisper. I still love you. Her breath catches, but she does not soften. Love that comes late feels like an insult to the years I spent surviving without you. He takes another step, then stops himself, respecting the line she has drawn. Let me at least help you stand stronger. I'm not trying to buy you. I'm trying to carry some of the weight you have been carrying alone. She shakes her head slowly. I carried it because I had no choice. Now that I can stand, you want to hold me? Silence falls between them, heavy and loud. Elias finally speaks, his voice breaking. Tell me what to do. Amara meets his eyes. Live with the truth that sometimes an apology comes after the damage is done. The room feels heavy with words that cannot be taken back. The air itself seems to pause, waiting for Amara to soften. But she does not. She stands there, small in the wide office, yet unmovable, like a rock that has learned how to survive storms. Elias watches her face, searching for a crack, for a door still open. There is none. I will not take your money, Amara says quietly, her voice steady. I will not take your apartment. I will not take your protection. Elias opens his mouth. Amara, please. It is not about pride anymore. Let me help you. Let me be useful in your life, even if I failed before. She shakes her head. You want to be useful now that the pain has finished its work. He steps closer, then stops, afraid of crossing another line. Tell me what you need. Her eyes lift to his, calm but burning with old tears. I needed you when my mother was calling my name in the night. I needed you when her breath became thin, and I had nothing but prayers to hold her. I needed you when I was alone in that small room, begging God not to take the only person I had. Elias closes his eyes, his jaw tightening. I did not know. If I had known. She cuts him off, her voice rising for the first time. If you had acted like I did for you, my mother would still be alive. The words land like a slap. Elias does not move. He does not speak. His shoulders slump as if something inside him finally breaks loose. His eyes fill, but he does not let the tears fall. He looks at the floor, at the shine of wealth that suddenly means nothing. I was dying in the forest, she continues, softer now but sharper. I did not ask who you were. I did not ask what you could give me. I carried you on my back. I cleaned your wounds. I stayed awake when you could not breathe. That is what love looks like to me. His voice comes out rough. And I failed you. She nods once. Yes, you did. Silence stretches between them. The city outside keeps moving, uncaring. Elias straightens slowly. The pride that once filled his steps is gone. What remains is a quiet, wounded man. I am sorry, he whispers, more to himself than to her. She does not answer. He turns toward the door. His hand pauses on the handle. If there is ever a day you need me, I will come. Even if you never forgive me. Her voice is low, almost a breath. Do not promise what you could not keep before. Elias nods, accepting the truth in her words. He opens the door and walks out. No cameras, no guards, no grand exit. Just a man leaving a room with his head bowed, carrying the weight of a love he did not protect in time. The corridor outside the office is quiet, polished floors reflecting cold light. Elias waits until the workers pass, until no eyes are watching him with recognition. He pulls his cap lower, not because he is afraid of being seen, but because he does not want his name to carry weight in this moment. He steps into the small glass office of Amara's supervisor. The supervisor rises quickly. Sir, I didn't know you were coming. Elias lifts a hand, gentle. Sit, please. This is not an official visit. The man hesitates, then sits slowly. Is there a problem with my department? Elias shakes his head. No problem. There is a person. The supervisor leans forward. A person? Yes, Elias says, his voice low. A cleaner. Hard-working. Quiet, she does not complain. She comes early. She leaves late. The supervisor nods. Amara, yes, sir. She is one of our most dedicated staff. Elias looks away for a second, then back. Her salary. Increase it. The supervisor blinks. Sir, there is a process for that. We need approvals, documents. I am the process, Elias says softly. Double it. Improve her working conditions. Better shifts. Proper equipment. No night shifts alone. Make her work safer. The supervisor swallows. Is she related to you? Elias pauses. She is. Important to me. The room falls into a respectful silence. The supervisor nods slowly. I understand, sir. It will be done. Should I tell her who helped her? Elias shakes his head. No. Do not tell her anything. Let her think it is just life being kind for once. The supervisor studies him, then nods again. Very well. I will make sure she is treated well. Elias stands. Not well. Fairly. She deserves that much. He turns to leave, then stops. And if anyone treats her badly, I want to know. Yes, sir. Later that week, Amara stands in the changing room, staring at the notice on the wall. Her name is written there. New shift. Better pay. Better hours. She reads it twice, then a third time, as if the letters might disappear. Her co-worker, Saad, laughs. Amara, what kind of miracle did you find? They increased your pay like this. Amara shakes her head slowly. I did not ask for anything. Saad teases. Maybe your hard work finally spoke for you. Amara forces a small smile. Maybe. At work, she notices the difference. The tools are new. The supervisor speaks to her with more respect. The heavy work is shared now. Her body feels less tired at night. Her pockets feel a little fuller. That evening, in her tiny room, she counts the money again. This is not normal, she whispers to herself. She sits on the edge of the bed. The memory of her mother's cold hand rising in her chest. Mama, are you the one doing this for me from wherever you are? The room answers with silence. Amara lies back, staring at the ceiling. Life has become slightly easier. The days no longer crush her as hard. Yet her heart does not feel lighter. The weight she carries is not hunger anymore. It is memory. It is waiting that once waited too long. She closes her eyes. Money can change the floor under my feet, she murmurs. But it cannot change what my heart remembers. The rain pounded against the tin roof, drumming a steady rhythm that echoed through the empty streets. The wind howled through the alleyways, carrying with it the scent of wet earth and cold despair. Inside her small room, Amara sat on the edge of her bed, staring out at the storm, when a sudden, violent knock on the door shattered the night's uneasy silence. Her heart jumped. Who is it? She called, her voice trembling. Please, help me, a rasping voice replied, barely audible over the rain. Water, water, please. Amara froze. The voice was weak, desperate, broken. Another knock came, this one harder, frantic. She hesitated, her fingers tightening around the doorframe. Something in her chest twisted, a warning, a fear, a memory she could not shake. Carefully, she opened the door. A man, soaked through, collapsed at her feet. His clothes were torn, his face bruised and streaked with mud. He coughed violently, shivering from cold and weakness. Please, water, I'm dying, he gasped. Amara's eyes widened. Her mind screamed at her to step back, to shut the door, to protect herself. And yet, the figure before her, broken and desperate, stirred something she thought she had buried long ago. Memories came unbidden: the forest, the mud, the rain, the man she had once pulled from the earth, the man who had looked at her with a mix of fear and trust. Elias. Her heart thumped wildly, and for a moment, her body felt frozen, caught between fear and instinct. "Well, who are you?" she whispered, her voice barely carrying over the storm. The man coughed again, blood mixing with rain on his lips. "Please, I don't have time." His eyes, desperate and pleading, seemed to pierce straight through her. Amara's chest tightened. Her fear battled with her heart, the same heart that had once trusted, that had once risked everything for someone else. She knelt down slowly, every movement deliberate, her hands shaking. "Wait. I'll get water," she said, her voice trembling. He groaned in relief, barely able to lift his head. "Thank you, please." She led him inside, shutting the door quickly against the rain and the darkness. Her heart raced, her palms slick with sweat, but she did not falter. The memories of that forest, of Elias, of all she had once risked and saved, pushed her forward. "Here, drink," she whispered, handing him a small cup of water. He grasped it with trembling hands, drinking desperately, spluttering, gasping, and finally letting out a soft, ragged sigh of relief. Amara watched him carefully, her mind a storm of questions and fear. She did not know who he was. She did not know why he had come. And yet, she could not leave him there, not in the storm, not in the darkness. Her heart had made the decision before her mind could catch up. She had let the stranger in. And in that moment, as the rain lashed against the windows and the wind rattled the walls, Amara knew sometimes the heart must act before the fear can catch it. The night dragged on, heavy with the weight of rain and shadows. Amara worked silently, her hands careful as she cleaned the stranger's wounds. The flickering lantern cast a warm glow across the small hut, illuminating his bruised face and the mud-streaked clothes clinging to his trembling frame. Every motion of hers was deliberate, tender, as though she were mending not just flesh, but the fear etched deep into his body. "Careful, that one hurts," he murmured, flinching as she dabbed at a gash on his shoulder. "I know," she said softly, her voice steady despite the pounding of her own heart. "But it must be cleaned. Infection. It will make you sicker." He swallowed, wincing. You're very kind. People, they usually run." Amara glanced at him, brushing a damp lock of hair from his forehead. "Kindness isn't weakness," she said quietly. "I've seen enough pain to know that cruelty solves nothing." He gave her a small, grateful smile, almost imperceptible. "I don't even know your name," he said, voice raw. "But thank you. Thank you for keeping me alive." "You don't need to thank me every time," she said with a small laugh, dipping a cloth into the warm water again. "Just survive. That will be thanks enough." When the wounds were finally cleaned, she cooked a small meal rice with a little broth, the aroma filling the hut with a sense of comfort. She placed it before him. "Eat," she instructed gently. "You need strength." He hesitated, shaking slightly, but then began to eat. You do all this, and you complain of nothing?" he asked between mouthfuls. Amara shrugged, a small wry smile playing on her lips. "Why complain? The world is hard, but we must not be hard to people. That's all I know. That's all I try to do." He looked at her, truly looked, his eyes tracing the lines of her face, the resilience in her posture, the softness in her tone. You are remarkable. he said quietly. I don't even know how to repay you. Repay me? She echoed, shaking her head. You're alive. That's repayment enough. She paused, her gaze dropping to the fire. We live in a world full of people who hurt each other. If we can do one small thing, be gentle, be kind, maybe the world will hurt a little less. For days she tended to him. She fetched water, cleaned his clothes, prepared food, and made him comfortable. He thanked her daily, sometimes with words, sometimes with a quiet nod or a faint smile that lit his bruised face. She never scolded him, never demanded anything, never treated him like a burden. And though she noticed his gratitude, she dismissed it lightly. Do not thank me so often, she would say. Kindness does not count the cost. The stranger would look at her, weary eyes full of humility and something else she couldn't name, and murmur, I don't deserve this. You deserve nothing, Amara replied firmly, but her voice softened. And yet, you have it. That is enough. Little did she know. The man who lay weak and dependent in her hut was no ordinary stranger. His name was Damian, a name that carried shadows of power, wealth, and danger. Yet here, in the dim warmth of her home, stripped of his titles, bruised and vulnerable, he was simply a man who had survived the worst the world could throw at him. And in that quiet, flickering light, amid the sound of rain tapping against the roof, a fragile bond began to grow between the girl who gave without expectation and the man who had forgotten how to trust anyone at all. Days stretched into nights, and every evening he whispered his gratitude. Amara, she said, cutting him off gently. The world is hard, but we must not be hard to people. Remember that. And Damian nodded, hiding a flicker of emotion he did not yet understand, as the girl who had saved him continued to shine quietly in a world full of shadows. The night pressed heavily against the small hut, the wind whispering through the trees as rain tapped a slow rhythm on the roof. Inside, Amara knelt by the fire, folding blankets, when the stranger Damian suddenly lowered himself to the dirt floor. His hands shook, not from fear, but from the weight of confession. Amara. His voice was rough, ragged, raw. There's something I must tell you. You deserve the truth. She looked up at him, startled. What is it? Her heart beat fast, a strange mix of fear and dread tightening her chest. He swallowed hard, gaze fixed on the ground. I am the one who betrayed your friend Elias. The words hit her like a stone. The firelight flickered across his bruised face, that she could see the truth in his eyes. What do you mean? She whispered, trembling. Damian's voice broke. I hated him for what he had, for who he was. I tried to kill him. I wanted everything he has, his life, his company. I betrayed him, Amara. I escaped from prison just to finish what I started. Amara's hands shook. She stumbled backward, hitting the wall. Her chest ached, her mind spinning. No, she whispered, tears springing to her eyes. You're the one. He knelt lower, his hands pressed together, almost like a prayer. Yes, I am him, but I am not the man I was. I swear to you, Amara, I have changed. Her knees buckled, and she sank to the floor, crying freely. Her sobs echoed against the walls of the small hut. Please don't kill me, she begged, clutching her chest. The way you wanted to kill your brother. Don't ever do that to me. Damian's eyes filled with tears, raw and desperate. I swear, I will not. I am not that man anymore. I've seen the weight of my sins. I've seen what hate can do. Amara, I need forgiveness. I need someone to believe that I can be better. She shook her head, unable to speak, her mind a storm of confusion, fear, and heartbreak. How could you come into my home after all that? How can I? You saved me once, he whispered, voice trembling. When I was nothing, you gave me life. I'm begging you, just this once. Give me a chance to be better. Give me a chance to make things right. Amara's tears fell onto her hands as she pressed them to her face. The fire cast long shadows across the hut, dancing on the walls like silent witnesses to the storm of emotion between them. She could feel her whole world trembling, the trust she had built, the kindness she had offered, and the knowledge that the man kneeling before her was the one who had tried to destroy the man she loved. The silence stretched, heavy, almost unbearable. Finally, Damian spoke again, his voice a whisper, almost breaking. I am no longer the man who hurt. I am no longer the one you fear. I am asking from my soul for your forgiveness. Amara's breath caught. Her hands trembled as she lifted them slightly, unsure, uncertain, afraid of what mercy could bring. The night held its breath with her, the rain tapping a sorrowful rhythm against the roof, and somewhere in that stillness, a fragile, dangerous hope began to take root. The house was quiet, the night heavy with the scent of rain-soaked earth. Amara's hands trembled as she held the old brass bell at the door. She swallowed, her heart hammering. He's coming, she whispered almost to herself. Damian nodded, pale and broken. Tell him, just tell him I'm here. I can't face him alone. Amara took a deep breath and stepped outside. Elias, he's here. Please, come inside. Almost immediately, the sound of footsteps broke the night. They were quick, urgent, deliberate. Elias appeared at the doorway, his expensive shoes sinking slightly into the wet ground. His hand instinctively went to his phone. Amara, what's going on? Who is here? Amara's voice wavered. It's him, Elias, the one. Damian. Damian stepped forward, trembling. Elias, Elias's eyes narrowed, his body tense. Damian, I should have known. After everything, his voice shook with anger and fear. You tried to. Damian fell to his knees, his head bowed. I know what I did. I have hated myself every day since. I am begging you, please. Give me a chance to make it right. Amara stepped closer, her hands trembling. Elias, listen. He has changed. I believe him. Elias laughed bitterly, a sound heavy with disbelief. Changed? After all the lies, the betrayal, the blood. He paused, his voice breaking. Why should I believe anything you say? Damian's voice cracked as he reached out, though he remained on his knees. Because I've lived every day in shame. Every night I've dreamed of facing you, begging your forgiveness. I've escaped my chains, not for freedom, but to find you, to ask for your mercy. Amara's eyes filled with tears. You see, Elias, forgiveness doesn't erase the pain, but it frees the heart. Please, do not let anger rule you forever. You can choose to let him back. Elias's chest heaved. And if I forgive you, and you fail again, if this is a trick, how can I trust you? Damian bowed his head lower. I swear on the last shred of my soul, I will never betray you again. If I falter, I deserve whatever comes. Amara's voice grew firmer. Trust is a seed, Elias. It takes time, but you must plant it first. Let your heart speak before your fear. The silence hung, thick and heavy. Then, slowly, Elias sank to his knees across from Damian. His eyes burned red from restrained tears, his jaw tight with all he had held inside. I forgive you, Elias whispered, his voice trembling, the weight of years of anger and fear releasing with that single word. Damon's head shot up, tears spilling freely. You really mean it? His voice was raw, desperate. I don't deserve this. But I will take it. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Elias's hands shook as he reached forward, touching Damian's shoulders. We can try to be better. Together. Damian embraced him fiercely, his sobs racking his body. I am so sorry for everything, Elias. For the hatred, for the betrayal, for the pain I caused. Amara stepped back, tears rolling down her cheeks. It's over. It's finally over. Damian looked up at her, his voice cracking. Amara. Thank you. If you hadn't believed, if you hadn't opened the door, I would still be lost. Amara smiled through her tears. I knew there was still good in you. That's why I never let fear rule me. Sometimes the world is cruel, but some hearts are brave. Elias looked at both of them, a fragile smile forming. I forgot how to hope. But maybe we can all start again. Together. Outside, the rain fell softly, washing the earth. Inside the small hut, the storm had passed. The brothers held each other, crying, trembling, forgiving. And for the first time in years, there was peace. Amara whispered softly, to herself and to them both. Even in the darkest nights, light can find a way. Redemption, forgiveness. It's real. And it starts here. The rain had softened, leaving the earth wet and dark. Inside the hut, the air was heavy with the scent of smoke and tears. Damian leaned back slightly from the embrace of his brother, the two men still holding on to each other, as if years of pain could be squeezed out of their bodies. Elias's shoulders shook. I can't believe this is real. That we are really here. Together. Amara wiped her tears, smiling softly. It's real, Elias. You forgave him. And that is stronger than any hatred in the world. Damian's lips curved ever so slightly, almost invisible, almost innocent. His eyes glimmered not with sorrow, not with gratitude, but with a secret light that no one else could see. He looked past Amara, past Elias, and his mind spun quietly, calculating. I don't deserve this, brother, he murmured aloud. But I will honor it. From now on. Elias nodded, exhausted and relieved. We will move forward. We will be better. Together. Amara's hand brushed his sleeve. Yes, together. But Damian's heart beat to a different rhythm. He smiled just enough to be unseen. A smile that held shadows in its corners. Everything is going according to plan, he thought. She is perfect. The bait is set, and soon they will all fall into the trap I have prepared. He shifted slightly, hiding the flicker of satisfaction behind wet eyes and a trembling chest. Yes, together, he echoed, soft and pained, mimicking the tone he knew they needed to hear. Amara looked at him and smiled faintly. Thank you, Damian. I knew there was good in you. His jaw tightened imperceptibly. Good. Yes, there is. But only what I allow them to see. Elias laughed weakly, the sound of relief cutting through the tension. We have suffered so long, but now maybe peace can come at last. Damian's smile deepened inside his mind, though outwardly it was just another tear-streaked face. Peace? Not yet. This is only the beginning. Soon, Amara will be the key to everything I want. She doesn't know, and neither does he. But they will learn. He lowered his head to hide the glint of triumph, letting them believe in the forgiveness he did not feel. And in the silence that followed, only Damian knew the truth. The trap was ready. The storm was far from over. The streets of the city were quiet, the golden glow of streetlights reflecting off the wet asphalt. Amara walked briskly, her bag swinging at her side, humming softly to herself after a long day at work. She didn't see the shadows slipping from alley to alley, the silent footsteps that followed. "Ma'am, wait!" a voice hissed from behind. Before she could turn, strong hands grabbed her, twisting her arms behind her back. She struggled, her heart pounding, screaming into the night. "Let me go! Somebody help me!" Her cries were swallowed by the city. Masked men dragged her into a waiting van. The door slammed. The engine roared. Darkness and fear surrounded her. Amara's mind raced. Why? Why is this happening? She struggled against the ropes binding her hands. "Stop, please. I haven't done anything." One of the men leaned close, whispering coldly, "Quiet, your fate is sealed." Far away in a high-rise office overlooking the city, Elias's phone rang. His brow furrowed as he answered. "Hello." A distorted voice spoke. "We have her. If you ever want to see her again, you will follow our instructions." Elias froze. His chest tightened, a sharp, unbearable pain slicing through him. "Amara. Where is she?" His voice broke, trembling, unrecognizable even to himself. "She's safe. For now. Don't try anything foolish." The line went dead. Elias sank into his chair, the office spinning around him. He buried his face in his hands, his chest heaving. "I was a fool. I trusted him. And now, she's in his hands." Memories of Amara, her laughter, her courage, her warmth flooded his mind. "I promised I would protect her. I promised, and I failed." His voice rose, raw and desperate, as if the walls themselves could hear his agony. "Amara, please, stay safe. I'm coming. I'll get you." Tears streamed down his face, mixing with anger, guilt, and despair. He had been fooled, tricked into believing in redemption, and the pain returned, deeper and sharper than before, like a knife twisting inside his chest. He clenched his fists on the desk. "Damian, you will pay. You will pay for this. I swear it." The city lights blurred through his tears. Outside, the van carrying Amara sped through the empty streets, the sound of the engine like a countdown to a nightmare. Inside, Amara sat trembling, the ropes biting into her wrists, her heart breaking with fear. "Please, somebody, anyone," she whispered to the empty van, praying that someone Elias would find her. And in that moment, across the city, Elias's heart shattered completely. He realized the depth of the betrayal, the trap he had walked into. The pain was raw, consuming, and yet beneath it, a fire ignited, a determination that no force on earth could extinguish. "I will get her back, no matter what it takes." The rain poured like silver knives, drenching the streets and turning the alleyways into rivers of mud. Elias moved like a shadow, his heart hammering in his chest, adrenaline sharpening every sense. The city lights reflected off the wet pavement, flickering with the chaos around him. He didn't care about himself anymore, only one thought consumed him. Amara. The sound of gunshots cracked through the storm. Security teams clashed with Damian's men, bullets ricocheting off walls, shattering windows, the air thick with smoke and fear. Elias dove behind a car, his coat soaked, the rain running down his face. "Amara, hold on, I'm coming," he shouted into the storm, though he knew the wind would carry his voice away. A masked figure lunged from the shadows, but Elias swung, knocking the gun aside, his fist connecting with a sickening thud. Another man aimed at him. He rolled, fired, the man screaming and falling into the puddles. Chaos roared around him, The world reduced to shouts, gunfire, and the relentless pounding of the rain. Then he saw her, Amara, tired and trembling, her eyes wide with fear and disbelief, standing under a flickering streetlight. "Elias!" she screamed, her voice slicing through the chaos. He ran to her, sliding through the mud, pulling out his knife and cutting through the ropes. "I've got you. I've got you, Amara. Don't worry. I won't let them hurt you again." Her tears mixed with the rain as she clung to him. I knew you'd come. I was so scared," she sobbed. "You don't have to be scared anymore," he whispered fiercely, holding her close as the gunfire and screams raged around them. I promised I'd never let anything happen to you." Damian emerged from the chaos, sneering, gun in hand, but this time he met a wall of justice. The security team surged forward, tackling him to the ground. No, this isn't over," he roared, struggling against the cuffs, but there was no escape this time. "You'll regret this." "You made your choices, Damian," Elias said, his voice cold but steady. "This time, there's no way out." The rain poured over them, soaking everyone to the bone, the storm reflecting the climax of the battle. Damian was handcuffed, his eyes filled with hatred but powerless. "Life imprisonment," a security officer stated firmly, and the words hung in the wet night air like a verdict of finality. Amara looked up at Elias, her hands still trembling as she held on to him. You saved me," she whispered, her voice a mixture of awe, relief, and love. "I told you I would," Elias said softly, brushing the wet hair from her face. No one touches you again. I swear it." The rain eased, the gunshots faded, and the city seemed to breathe again. Around them, chaos still lingered, but in that small circle under the dim streetlight, only two hearts mattered. Elias held Amara close, their clothes soaked, hearts racing, and in that moment, the storm outside mirrored the storm that had been in their lives. But finally, it was over. And Damian, once the master of deception, once the bringer of pain, was gone, finally confined to a life behind bars, with no hope of escape. The hospital room was quiet, except for the steady beeping of the monitor and the soft hiss of the oxygen. Rain still tapped against the windows, a gentle reminder of the storm outside that mirrored the storm inside Amara's mind. She lay in the bed, wrapped in the thin hospital blanket, her hands trembling slightly, as if the memory of Damian's betrayal was still clutching her chest. Elias sat beside her, shoulders hunched, soaked coat drying on the chair behind him. He didn't speak at first. He just watched her, carefully, like a man trying not to disturb a fragile bird. Her eyes were red, her lips quivering. Every so often, a shiver ran through her body, not from cold, but from the lingering echo of fear. "Amara," he whispered softly, reaching for her hand. She flinched at first, but then allowed him, her fingers curling weakly around his. "It's okay. You're safe now. I'm here." She shook her head, tears welling up again. I keep seeing him, Elias. I can't stop thinking about what he did. What I thought you would never forgive. What could have happened?" He squeezed her hand gently, his thumb brushing across her knuckles. It's all right. You don't have to talk if you're not ready. Just let it out when you can. I'm not going anywhere. I'll stay with you." Amara looked at him, the vulnerability in her eyes making her feel small, yet strangely safe. "I feel broken," she admitted, voice barely above a whisper. How do you keep going when your world falls apart?" Elias gave a soft laugh, almost sad, almost warm. "You take it one breath at a time, one heartbeat at a time. You don't have to fix yourself all at once." You don't have to be okay immediately. She blinked, absorbing the words. But I feel so alone. Even when you're here. I know, he said gently, leaning closer without forcing her. And that's normal. Trauma, it doesn't just disappear. It lingers, sometimes like a shadow, sometimes like a storm. But shadows fade, Amara. And storms pass. And until they do, I'll be here. With you. Her shoulders slumped, a shudder running through her. Why? Why do you care so much? You could go back to your life. Your company. Everything. He shook his head slowly. No. You saved me once. In ways you may not even understand. And I won't leave you now. Not when you need me. Not when your heart is hurting. That's not what love does, Amara. It waits, it listens. It stays. For hours, they stayed like that. Sometimes they spoke. Sometimes silence filled the space between them. She talked about nightmares, about the fear that gripped her even in daylight. He listened, never interrupting, never rushing her words. When she cried, he handed her tissues and whispered comfort. When she stayed silent, he held her hand, pressed his palm gently to hers. Slowly, imperceptibly at first, the walls around her heart began to loosen. She would glance at him, catching his steady, unshakable presence, and feel something warm rising in her chest. Trust, safety, love. Not the hurried, reckless kind, but the quiet, enduring kind that grows in shared tears and whispered truths. One evening, as the rain slowed outside and the sky turned a soft, forgiving grey, Amara's voice broke the quiet. Elias, thank you for staying, for everything. He smiled softly, brushing a wet strand of hair from her forehead. Always, Amara. I'm not going anywhere. Not now, not ever. Her lips curved into a faint smile. I think I can breathe again. Even if just a little, and that's all we need, he said, voice low, almost reverent. A little at a time. Together. In that quiet hospital room, with the storm finally fading outside, their hearts began to heal. Slowly, painfully, beautifully. And in the spaces between tears, between fear and comfort, love began to grow, a love patient, steady, and unbreakable. The sun had barely risen over the city skyline, casting a soft golden glow through the hospital room's blinds. Amara sat on the edge of the bed, fingers tracing the hem of her blanket, while Elias brewed tea quietly in the corner. He didn't rush her movements, didn't ask if she was ready to go home or face the world outside. He simply let her exist in her own time, her own space. Elias, she whispered, almost afraid her voice would shatter the fragile calm. He looked up from pouring the tea, eyes gentle, patient. Yes, Amara. I don't know if I can trust anyone anymore, she admitted, voice trembling. After everything that happened, after Damian, after thinking you might have forgotten me, I don't know if I can ever let my heart feel safe again. Elias set the tea down, moving closer. He didn't sit too close, didn't crowd her. He knelt beside her chair instead, hands resting lightly on the edge of the mattress. I understand, he said softly. I know trust isn't given lightly. Not after pain like that. And I won't ask for it all at once. You'll tell me when you're ready. And if you never are, I'll still be here. Amara's eyes brimmed with tears. But what if I push you away? What if I break everything again? He reached out, brushing a gentle finger across her cheek. Then I'll stay. Because love, real love, isn't about rushing. It isn't about forcing. It's about patience and earning each other's hearts every single day. She looked down at her hands, trembling. It feels so strange to feel safe, to feel something after everything. Then hold on to that feeling, he whispered. Even if it's small, let it grow at your pace. I'll never hurry you. Days turned into weeks. Elias never pressed, never demanded, never expected. He simply sat with her, listened to her nightmares, laughed softly at her quiet jokes, and let her regain the rhythms of life she had lost. Amara began to venture outside the hospital for short walks, her hand always brushing against his not in demand, but in quiet acknowledgement that he was there. One evening, she looked up at him as they walked through the rain-soaked garden of the hospital courtyard. "You've been so patient, so steady," she said, her voice almost shy. I don't know how to thank you for that." He smiled, the corners of his eyes crinkling. "No thanks needed. I don't want your gratitude, Amara. I just want your heart. In time. Nothing forced. Nothing rushed. That's the only way this can work." She nodded slowly, taking a deep breath. I think I can try. Try to trust again. Try to feel something real. And I'll be here," he said, gently taking her hand. "Every step of the way. No expectations. Just patience, love, and trust. Earned together." The rain began to fall heavier, drumming a soft rhythm over the garden. Amara smiled faintly, letting the sound fill the spaces of her heart that had been closed for so long. Elias walked beside her, steady, patient, unshakable. And in the quiet, ordinary moments shared cups of tea, soft laughter, gentle glances, their love began to root itself in something enduring. It was not hurried. It was not forced. It was earned, day by day, heartbeat by heartbeat. A love strong enough to survive the storm and soft enough to heal the soul. The forest breathed again, not with the old sound of fear that once crept through its leaves, but with a quieter, gentler rhythm, like a heart that had learned how to beat after being broken. Amara stood at the edge of the narrow path, the same path she once ran through in panic, the same soil that had swallowed her tears when she thought death was the only ending the forest could offer her. The trees rose around her like silent witnesses. This place had once carried the weight of gunshots, of blood, of trembling prayers whispered into the dark. Now it carried memory. Elias stood a few steps behind her, no longer walking with the heavy stride of a man who believed power could protect him from pain. He moved softly now, as though every step was a conversation with the past. He cleared his throat. "It's strange," he said quietly, "how a place can change." Without moving at all, Amara turned to him, her eyes steady, her shoulders no longer curved by fear. "The place did not change," she replied. "We did," he nodded, a small, humbled smile touching his lips. "I used to think survival was about money, about security men, about walls and gates," he confessed. "But when I lay here, bleeding, calling a stranger my last hope, I learned that survival is about kindness, about someone choosing to see your humanity before your status." She took a slow step closer to him. "And I used to think strength meant never being afraid," she said. "But I have learned that strength is standing again, even when fear still remembers your name." The wind moved through the leaves, soft, almost tender. Elias lowered his gaze. "You made me humble, Amara. You saved my life, but you also saved my heart from becoming something cold. I will never walk through this world the same way again." Amara let out a small breath, half laugh, half sigh. "Then maybe this forest did not only hold death," she said gently. "Maybe it was waiting to hold our survival." They walked a little deeper, stopping where the ground dipped, where rainwater once pooled red with pain. Elias knelt, touching the earth with open palms. "This place reminds me that life can pull you down to the dust, and still lift you again." Amara watched him, a softness in her eyes. "And it reminds me that even when the world is cruel, goodness can still grow from broken soil." They stood side by side, not holding hands, but close enough that their shoulders brushed. There was no rush, no grand promise spoken aloud. Only a quiet understanding that the forest had become more than a memory of danger. It had become a reminder of how far they had come. People will hear our story, Elias said. They will say it is too painful, too dramatic to be real. Amara smiled faintly. Let them. Maybe someone who feels lost will hear it and know that survival is possible. That healing is slow, but real. The forest swayed gently, the sunlight breaking through the leaves in thin lines of gold. Once this place had echoed with fear. Now, it echoed with testimony. A story of a woman who stood stronger after being broken. A story of a man who stood humbler after being saved. A story of a forest that once held death, and now held the quiet, living proof of survival.